blood, blood vessels, and the heart. So the heart is a pump made of muscles, which is found inside our chest cavity. And what it does is continuously pump blood throughout our lifetimes. The function of the circulatory system is to provide a transport system for the body through which the body can supply all the tissues with what they need, as well as eliminate the byproducts from our cellular activities. So this is a very important system because if you can imagine, even in our normal lives, the transport system of a city or a country plays a very important role in the economy and the well-being of the people of a country. So the same case applies to us with our cardiovascular or circulatory system. It is very important for our well-being and our health. And that is why today we'll be speaking about maybe some of the problems that we come across and some of the ways which through our products and our lifestyle and education, we can actually be able to help ourselves and those in our circle of influence. So first and foremost, there are three terms that we come across often, which I wanted to start with now. One of them is heart failure. So maybe you may have come across someone who has been told that they have heart failure, or maybe a family member of yours, maybe an older person. So it's good for us to understand what that means. So heart failure is when the heart's ability to pump blood efficiently is diminished. And this means that maybe the pressure at which the blood is now circulating has been impaired because the heart is not working as well as it should. So that is when we say there is heart failure. It does not mean that the heart has failed and now a person is dying. It just means that when they test the person, they find that the activity of the heart is diminished. And so the pumping mechanism is not as efficient as it needs to be in order for the blood to reach all the places it needs to reach and also to return to the heart. Then the next terminology is heart attack. So this is when blood flow to the heart is interrupted. Remember, the heart is an organ like any other, and so it too requires a blood supply, which will supply it with oxygen and energy, as well as take away the byproducts from its activities. So if the blood supply to the heart muscles themselves is interrupted, that is what we refer to as a heart attack. Again, this does not imply that the heart has necessarily stopped beating. In fact, in many cases, when there is a heart attack, there may not really be that the heart has stopped, or that some people don't even have a sign. It's only later on when things escalate that the doctor might be able to say that there has been some heart attacks. So heart attack refers to when there is an interruption in the blood supply to the heart. And this is the second terminology I wanted to speak about. And the third one is cardiac arrest. So maybe you have also heard about this term. This one refers to the heart suddenly stopping beating. So this is where actually you are speaking of the heart having stopped beating. And this is linked to the malfunctioning of the electrical impulses that govern the heartbeat. So here we are dealing not with the blood supply or with the efficiency of the heart. We are dealing with the electrical function that through the nervous system governs the heartbeat. So the heart needs to beat in a specific rhythm at a specific rate for it to be. So if this is interrupted, then you can have the heart suddenly either start missing a beat, what is called, it loses its rhythm, and actually stop beating. So just to say that all these are serious situations, but it is good stop beating or is beating erratically, which implies a serious emergency. The others are also serious, and that is, of course, why I said at the beginning that these are issues that we need to have some understanding about so that we are able to help ourselves and others. Then the next become very, very common in our lives, because we know that abnormal blood pressure has become a system. So blood pressure, just to describe it, is the pressure exerted by the circulating blood to the walls of the arteries or the blood vessels. So that is what we mean when we speak about blood pressure. Is a pressure that the blood itself, the liquid that is flowing in the blood vessels, exerts on the walls of the arteries as it is flowing. So the normal range of blood pressure, so the blood pressure is maintained by the body within a range that is called normal. If it goes above that, that is when we speak about high blood pressure. And if it goes below that range, then we speak about low blood pressure. So it can be a bit higher or a bit lower depending on what you're doing. Maybe if you've been exercising, part of the range, but it needs to be within that range as a matter of habit. If it chronically goes above or below pressure, is the kidney. This is because the kidney regulates the volume of blood by regulating the volume of fluid in our bodies. So the kidney plays an important role in the normality of our blood pressure by regulating the volume of blood, that is the amount of blood that there is in circulation. And that also this volume is going to, together with the working heart, is going to determine the pressure exerted on the wall of the blood vessels. So as you can see, it's not only the heart that is concerned with the health of our circulatory system, the kidney also plays an important role, because it is the one which can decide to excrete a large volume of liquid and thereby reduce the volume of blood, or it can retain fluid and thereby increase the volume of blood. So then a heightened blood pressure is a normal part of our response to stress. So not every time we notice of our response to stress. During periods of normal stress, let us say something is going on, maybe you have an emergency taking place and you're attending to it, your body actually responds and others. These hormones signal to the body the need to increase the pressure of the blood. At the same time, the body will respond to these hormones by speeding up the heartbeat. So if the heartbeat, and you've noticed maybe when you're under stress or you have an emergency, you can notice your heart beating faster. So this is as a result of those hormones that we produce during stressful circumstances. So the body responds by speeding up the heartbeat and also widening the opening of the blood vessels. So the wider blood vessels means that the flow of blood is also increased, because this is how our body prepares for action. Obviously, we know that when there is an emergency, our body prepares us for action. Sometimes the action may require that we are moving faster than we were moving before. It may require that we pick up something, like let us say that someone has injured themselves and fallen down. It may has put us in a fight situation where we now realize we need to defend ourselves or we need to escape. So all these are stressors which can lead to the production of these hormones, which instruct the body to speed up the rate at which the heart is beating, as well as open up the blood vessels to increase the blood flow. Once the stress has been resolved, then the hormones are dissipated and the blood pressure returns to its normal range. So this is an important thing to mark, that when we have an emergency situation, we can have a heightened blood pressure. But once the emergency has been dealt with one way or another and the situation has been resolved, then our blood pressure should return to normal. However, we notice in some situations the high blood pressure can become chronic. And this can be as a result of various factors. I can give you the example of chronic stress, which we have spoken about in other topics. When we have chronic stress, maybe we have got a difficult work situation or a difficult family situation, which produces continuous stress. This can become a chronic source of stress response, which means that our blood pressure does not get the chance to return to its normal range, which with stress. So this is a different situation, and this is a problematic situation when we have chronically heightened blood pressure. It can also be combined with inflammation as well as other factors. And the main problem about this chronic high blood pressure is that it contributes to the damage to the inner walls of our blood vessels. So it is damaging because it is not our normal situation. And what it will do is that our blood vessels are going to start deteriorating their walls are going to start deteriorating in quality. Such damage to our blood vessels will cause particles flowing in the blood to be trapped, and eventually, as the body is trying to heal those damaged parts of the blood vessels, a thick kind of layer is going to start forming on the inside of the blood vessels. And this is what we refer to as plaque, where we start seeing that the opening of the blood vessel becomes narrower and narrower. Again, this is a problem situation because if you think about a tube through which fluid has got to pass, if the tube is very narrow, then the pump has to work very hard to force blood through that narrow tube. If the tube is wide open, then the pump has an easier time pumping blood through it. So when our blood vessels become covered with plaque, then it means that the heart has to work harder to maintain the blood pressure at the pressure can actually lead to our hearts being overtaxed. And when our heart is overtaxed chronically, then what we are going to notice is, of course, with time, the heart might start being less efficient. And that is when we speak about the heart failing, because it is now struggling to keep up and it starts to show inefficiency. Then, so what are some of the issues that affect our blood circulatory system or our cardiovascular system? I've mentioned already, maybe in passing, the ones I introduced, maybe the heart attack, the cardiac arrest, and the heart failure. Also, I've mentioned the high blood pressure and its effects. And these are some of them, but I'll add a few to the list. So the risk of cardiovascular problem is raised by certain factors, of which I've mentioned chronically heightened blood pressure, which is a leading factor in these heart-related problems, heart and blood vessels-related problems. In addition to that, there is an increase of fat, especially around the waist. So here we are not speaking of general, let's say, body fat. For instance, if someone has got large hips or buttocks and so on, we are speaking specifically about fat that is deposited around the waist, so that we notice that the person's waistline is becoming larger and larger and the belly becoming more protuberant. This is actually what is called the problem fat, because this can contribute to these cardiovascular issues. One of the ways in which it contributes is that the fat in the abdominal area is going to compress the organs that are contained there. For example, the kidney, which we already spoke about as playing an important important role in other things such as detoxing our systems and so on. So the fat in this middle of the body, the waist area of the body, is going to compress those organs that are found there. And there are a number of organs there. Then the fat will also interfere with the hormones that are supposed to provide different signals to our body for different things. So this fat in the abdominal region is one we should always be concerned about. Most of us, I know people in my age group, for instance, and even I myself, struggle with keeping that fat around the waistline low, because we notice that we easily start picking up fat. Maybe the belt starts being tighter, the belly starts being more protuberant, our waistline becomes larger. This is always cause for concern. In fact, much greater concern than, let us say, an increase in the hips or in the arms. So if we notice this is the kind of fat that is associated with heart and blood related problems. Then the third one is diabetes and pre-diabetes. This, of course, is a topic we also speak about often, and we'll tackle it at a later date, diabetes and pre-diabetes. But just now, I want to mention them as one of the contributors to cardiovascular problems. So high blood sugar contributes to the damage to the blood vessels. Remember, we mentioned this just a few moments ago, that high blood pressure can contribute to damaging the blood vessels. High blood sugar also compounds that damage. In addition to that, high blood sugar, it also leads to harmful substances to be formed in the blood. I will not go further into it than that, just to be aware that diabetes and pre-diabetes do contribute to poor health in our blood and in our blood vessels. And for that reason, it is important for us to resolve diabetes and to reverse pre-diabetes so that it does not become full-blown diabetes. And as I said, we'll speak about that when we're speaking about the topic of diabetes and the products that help with that. Then the fourth item on my list is a sedentary lifestyle. That is a lifestyle where there is a large period spent sitting down or very scarce moments of movement. This can be as a result of the kind of work that we do. It could also be as a result of illnesses that we have. Maybe we are unwell, or maybe we have a job which requires us to sit for long hours. Or it could also be that we have joint problems that makes movement difficult. So all these can contribute to a sedentary lifestyle. Unfortunately, we are built to move. We are built for movement, and we need exercise as part of our life. Even if we don't partake of exercise, like, let's say, being a member of a gym or some formal situation, it is important that remember that we are built to move, and we should incorporate as much movement as possible in our lifestyle so as to be able to keep our hearts healthy. So how does movement and exercise help in our heart health? Number one, it improves circulation and helps to normalize blood pressure. Remember, a lot of these problems start with abnormally high blood pressure. The other thing, pre-diabetes, one good thing that we can add to our lifestyle is going for a walk after meals. So just the simple matter of going for maybe a 20-minute brisk walk after a meal is going to help the blood sugar to be kept within the normal range. Remember, a lot of the things in our bodies have to be kept within a range, and the normal range is a specific range between two figures. So we want to keep as close to the normal range as possible at all times. Then the third thing that movement and exercise does to help us is that it supports a stronger and healthier heart. because we notice that when we are walking vigorously or jogging or doing some vigorous activity, we notice that our heart starts beating faster. That means that the muscle of the heart itself is actually getting exercised so that it is maintaining its strength and health and blood supply. So that is a way in which exercise and movement supports our hearts. It also helps us to cope with stress. You may have noticed that when you have got a lot on your mind, or you've got certain issues that are bothering you, going for exercise or going for a walk can actually help to resolve the stress. And when we are speaking about the topic of stress resolution, this is one of the things we normally recommend. And we also know that in order to maintain a healthy body weight, we exercise and movement plays a role. So those are some of the ways in which exercise will help us. And that means that we should really avoid falling into the trap of a sedentary lifestyle. One of the worst inventions we have in the world today is chairs and sofas and stools and benches, all these things that encourage us to sit down. So I recommend that whenever possible, we should try to move around, walk around. If we are sitting down, we try to get up periodically and then sit down again, so that we don't get trapped into the habit of sitting for prolonged periods, because this contributes to a lot of health problems. Then other factors are smoking and excessive use of alcohol. This can contribute to chronic systemic inflammation, which can also be contributors to high blood pressure and other health issues. Of course, you will notice that some of the risk factors for cardiovascular problems cannot be avoided. Two of them are the following: our age. As we age, our blood vessels also tend to lose their elasticity. When we are younger, the walls of our blood vessels are quite elastic and able to expand and contract easily. But as we age, they become a bit stiffer. We can try as much as possible with things like exercise and so on, but it is a part of the process of aging. In addition to that, our genetic makeup can predispose us to certain types of cardiovascular problems. So this again is in our genetics, but remember, we always mention that your genetics can load the gun, but it does not fire the gun. It is the lifestyle and other factors that can fire the gun. So even if we have got a genetic predisposition, it is important that we know that that does not mean that our hands are completely tied. It just is a warning that we should be extra careful, taking note of some of those factors. So other factors which we can help are, for example, what I mentioned, resolving stressors in our life and keeping a diet that is supportive of good health. Then some of the healthy heart lifestyle points are having a diet that is nutritious and is made mainly of minimally processed foods. Then we should exercise for at least 20 to 30 minutes every day, or at least 5 days a week. Then also we should protect our sleeping time. Sleep is very important for our good health, and we need between 7 and 8 hours every night, as far as possible. And then, of course, we should reduce the exposure to harmful substances such as cigarette smoke, junk food, and drugs, recreational drugs, and lack of activity, as I mentioned before. Now, turning our attention to our Neolife products, which have a very, very important role to play in supporting us in this lifestyle of supporting our healthy hearts and blood vessels. So the first product, which is well known to most of us, I'm sure, unless you're very new, is omega-3 salmon oil. And omega-3 salmon oil is a superstar in our general health in the many areas where it supports good health. So in the case of our cardiovascular health, it prevents the formation of plaque that adheres to the inside of our blood vessels. Remember the one that I mentioned makes the blood vessel opening smaller and smaller as time goes on. So omega-3 salmon oil will act like a soap to help the body in cleaning out plaque or preventing it from sticking so that it can be carried out and be neutralized in other parts of the body concerned with that. So by doing this, omega-3 salmon oil helps to lower blood pressure. So we would be recommending it for people who are struggling with heightened blood pressure, people who have got heart problems also will benefit from omega-3, as well as a variety of other conditions. Then the next product we recommend is lipotropic adjunct, which is a group of nutrients that help to prevent the formation of harmful types of fats in the blood. And the lipotropic adjunct is also going to prevent the formation of plaque. Remember I said omega-3 prevents the plaque from sticking to the inner walls of the blood vessels. Lipotropic adjunct helps the body to prevent the formation of the plaque itself. And then the third product we recommend is garlic allium, which prevents the production of the hormone that signals for the blood vessels to be constricted, for the blood vessels to become abnormally narrow. So garlic is going to play a role in the production of that hormone and at the same time in keeping the quality of the blood good. So garlic allium, another important part of our heart and blood vessel health. Then the next one that helps with the heart itself is coenzyme Q10, which supports efficient heartbeat and thus reduces the incidence of heart failure and other heart problems. So coenzyme Q10 now helps us, especially on the side of the heart itself, the organ, but also with other health aspects as well. So coenzyme Q10 is the fourth one. Then the other one is magnesium complex. So magnesium complex helps to regulate the heartbeat rhythm. So remember, the heart needs to beat at a specific rhythm, which is governed by an electrical system that comes from our nerves. So magnesium helps in regulating the heart rhythm and thereby prevents the irregular heartbeat, which is another problem that we can have. So then the last product I will recommend for heart health is vitamin C. So our vitamin C here, we have the sustained release, which is a very useful one because it produces the vitamin C periodically so that in a 24-hour cycle, it makes sure that we are provided with just the right amount of vitamin C that we need. So this one, the vitamin C plays its part by helping with the repair of damaged blood vessels. So we know that vitamin C plays an important role in the general repairing of the body's tissue. So that includes the blood vessels themselves. As we've seen, blood vessels can be damaged as a result of various things. So by taking vitamin C, you are going to be assisting the body with what it needs to repair the blood vessels. So I see that my time is exactly up. I hope that the information that we've had during this session has been useful to you because, as I said, this is an area where we have many people who struggle. Some of them are still at the beginning of the problems, that is maybe just noticing an abnormality in the blood pressure. Maybe others have noticed that their hearts are not working as efficiently as they should. Maybe they are getting short of breath when they are active and so on. So all these are causes for concern. But as I said at the beginning, our part as Neolife distributors is to educate ourselves and others, and also to position our products so that we can be able to help people, especially when dealing with these lifestyle-related illnesses, which are now amongst the top killers that have been recorded in the world. So with that, I want to thank you very much for the time that you have spent with me and to wish you the best as we are now